Sentinel is a value in a list of some values that indicated the end of data, that stops your program, stops your algorithm. And we are saying there are some special values that cannot be confused with a valid value. For example, this value cannot be given for a test code, invalid value. And this Sentinel used to terminate input when you don't know how many data will you give to the program, will you enter the program. For example, here we have this algorithm, loop controlled by Sentinel value. Look, we are starting the Sudoku and set repeat to 1. Okay, we are giving value 1 to this variable, which is repeat. While repeat equals to 1, repeat equals to 1, we are reading number 1, we are reading number 2, we are printing the summation of them, we are adding them together, then we are reading repeat again. This is what's called the Sentinel. If the read value, which is going to be entered, is 1, the program comes back to the while and it asks you to enter those two numbers, and it gives you the summation of them. Then it asks you to enter the repeat. If repeat equals to 1, this loop iterates itself. If not, the while stops, it comes to this point and your Sudoku ends. This is an exercise you are going to be doing it by yourself, so you can do that. If you have any question, you can write down a comment or you can send me an email. This is another one. You are writing this one using pseudocode, but here you are going to convert it to flowchart, and even you are converting the while loop. You are doing the exercise on using while loop. After that, you are going to do it using do while loop by creating its respective flowchart. It is another exercise, you can do it by yourself. Now we are going to move to another section, which is called modular flowcharting. Here we have a flowchart. You are let's see what's happening here. The flowchart starts and you are reading those two numbers. Look, here we are saying result equals to avrg average of n1, n2, n3, then print this variable result. But what is this average? This is a function, and I've told you that if you see this geometrical shape in a flowchart, that means at this point your flowchart is calling a function. Okay, this is a function. You don't know to be worried about it. You are going to cover function in the upcoming lectures, but let's see what happens. This is the function avrg. You need to write down the same name as it is being given to the function, and this function has 3 parameters. Those 3 variables are called parameters, and you need to give the same parameters to it. Okay, so those 3 numbers which been entered by the user are going to be given to the function, and this function calculates the summation of them, n1 equal at n2 at n3. Then the result is what? Taking the average of them, sum divided by 3, and it returns the result. This one, it returns the result, and this result is going to be given to this result. Okay, so you are now having the average of it, and you are going to print the result which is being calculated by this function, and you just call this function using this geometrical shape and this way. And you are going to learn those kind of things when we go through the elementary programming and writing codes in our upcoming lectures. And then the flowchart stops. Okay, yeah, this is the body of the function, and yeah, this is another example. This is the same read. We are reading those 3 numbers, and here we have those 2 variables s and a, and average sum x, y, there. This is a function. It calls a function. There must be this function inside our program, so we are going to see it, and then it prints s and a. Let's see what is inside that function. Okay, the function average sum is having 3 parameters. They are n1, n2, and n3, and look, we have been given to you 3 different parameters. No matter what are the name of the variables, but you need to give them the same parameters as much as the function has it, and then it's calculated the summation of them, and even it calculated the average of them. But here it returns 2 values, sum and average, and this sum goes to this S and this average goes to this A. Then it prints the S and A, and the flowchart comes to its stopping point. Okay, here we have this flowchart and this function, and inside this flowchart we are calling this function. Let's see what's happening here. In this function we are calling this in this flowchart we are calling this function to be applied on those 3 variables, on those 3 parameters. Look, we need to have those parameters available inside our flowchart, so n1, n2 and n3 available, and these are called the actual parameters, but these are the function parameters. So this A is going to be replaced by n1, B by n2, C by n3, and so it has been doing like that. But we can't say sum n1, n2 and n3. We have to say sum A, B, C, because this function doesn't recognize n1, n2, n3. It only recognizes A, B and C, while A, B and C are the representations of n1, n2 and n3. And we are saying yeah, we can't use that, and here we can't, it returns R, but this R goes to the result of this function, goes to this result. So you can't print R, we just can read you can just print result. Okay, this is very important. You need to use only those variables which are available inside your flowchart here, inside your main flowchart here. But in this flowchart you are just allowed to use only those variables which are available inside your function, such as A, B and C. Okay, in this example we are going to learn that each function can be called several times. Look, average 1 equals to average n1, n2 and n3, while we have entered n1 and n2 and n3. Average 2 equals to average n4, n5, n6. So at the first time, these A, B, C are going to be replaced by n1 and n2 and n3, as well as n4 and n5 and n6 are going to be replaced with A, B and C. So it takes the average of 3 numbers, and this one takes the average of those 3 numbers, and then the result is going to be the addition of those 2 averages divided by 2. It takes the overall average of your function, and then you are going to print only the result. Even you can print average 1 and average 2, and it goes to the stopping point. Yeah, so at this point, when we are calling the function here, those parameters are going to be replaced with those parameters, and at this point they are going to be replaced with those parameters. Here we have another example to exchange the data inside 2 variables. So we are reading those 2 variables and we are calling this function exchange applied on P and Q, exchange applied on X and Y. So we are holding X, the first parameter. We are assigning the first parameter to the data inside the second one, and you are assigning the data inside the second parameter to the hold, which already hold the data inside the first parameter, and we are returning. That's it. But here we are calling this function on those 2 parameters, so they are going to be replaced with those 2 parameters, and then we are going to print P and Q, which we read them through the keyboard or stuff like that. Now the data inside of them are going to be exchanging, and the program goes to the stopping point. In this example, it asks us to find what is going to be the output if n is 6. So the user enters 6, and it calls this function to be applied on those parameters. 10 is going to be n1, 5, n2, n, n3, and it goes to calculate the average of them, and we are going to print the average, and then the program goes to the stop. Okay, it works in this way, and then it's going to be replaced, and those are going to be replaced. calculates the result